Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, often just called the Big Beautiful Bill.
Right.
And our mission, like always, is to really sift through the sources you sent us and we'll pull out what you really need to know about this massive piece of legislation.
Massive is definitely the word.
Yeah, and things are moving fast. Just yesterday, that was Saturday, June 28, 2025, the Republican-led U.S. Senate took a pretty critical step.
The procedural vote, yeah.
Exactly. Voted 51-49, incredibly narrow margin there, to advance the bill.
That was really something, especially seeing Senators Tillis and Rand Paul, Republicans, voting against it.
Right, breaking ranks. And then Senator Ron Johnson actually flipped his vote.
Yeah, apparently he was a no initially, but then switched to yes after some, last-minute talks. Shows how intense this is.
So that vote really gets the ball rolling.
Absolutely. And the speed here is, well, it's quite remarkable. For a bill this size, we're talking 940 pages. It kicks off a really crucial phase, and the implications, they're just incredibly broad.
Okay, so with that procedural step out of the way, let's dive into what's actually in this bill, starting with the tax side of things. What's happening there?
Okay, yeah. So a big piece is extending those Trump-era 2017 tax cuts. That's kind of the headline for many.
Right, that's major.
And then it also gets rid of taxes on tips and overtime pay. And interestingly, it temporarily raises the cap on the SALT deduction.
The state and local tax deduction, that impacts a lot of people in higher tax states. So it goes up to what, 30 or 40,000?
Exactly. Either 30K or 40K. Seems like that detail is still maybe being finalized, depending on the version.
Gotcha. But, these tax measures, they don't exist in a vacuum, right? There's spending involved, too.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what's, well, really striking here. These tax breaks are happening alongside some substantial spending increases. We're looking at around $150 billion for defense.
Okay.
And then a really hefty $350 billion for national security and deportation efforts. That includes money specifically for the border wall.
$350 billion. Wow.
Yeah. And maybe the biggest number, it plans to raise the national debt ceiling by somewhere between $4 and $5 trillion.
Trillion with a T. So less tax revenue in some places, much more spending in others, and a huge bump in the debt limit.
Precisely. It's a real mix.
But it's not all increases, is it? I remember seeing some significant cuts proposed as well.
That's right. You've got reductions to Medicaid, although the implementation of those cuts is delayed. There is some extra funding for rural hospitals kind of mixed in there, though.
Okay. Bit of a sweetener, maybe. What else?
It also scales back SNAP assistance. That's the food aid program. And it eliminates parts of the clean energy credits that came in under the Biden administration.
So cuts to social safety nets and rolling back some environmental policy?
Correct. Which brings us to the projected impacts of all this. What does the CBO say?
Yeah, the Congressional Budget Office. Their projections are usually pretty key in these debates.
They are, and they're projecting the national debt will increase by somewhere between $2.4 and $2.8 trillion by 2034 because of this bill.
Over $2 trillion added to the debt.
On top of what's already projected, yes. But it's not just the fiscal side. They also estimate, and this is a big number, that 8 to 11 million more Americans could become uninsured.
8 to 11 million uninsured. That's staggering.
It is. And you can see why critics are arguing this whole package disproportionately benefits wealthier individuals while, potentially hitting lower-income folks and social programs pretty hard.
And what's really fascinating, maybe, is that this isn't just a Democrat versus Republican thing.
Yeah.
There seems to be division within the Republican Party, too.
Absolutely. You mentioned Elon Musk earlier. He's been incredibly outspoken against it.
Yeah, calling it utterly insane and destructive. Strong words.
Very strong. It just highlights these deeper ideological splits even within the party pushing the bill about fiscal responsibility, the role of government, all of that.
So it's a complex political picture. What happens next? Where does the bill go from here?
Okay, so now it enters this period up to 20 hours of Senate debate. Amendments can be offered, debated, and then a final Senate vote could happen quite quickly, maybe even by Monday.
Wow, that fast.
Potentially, yes. If it passes the Senate, then it's off to the House of Representatives for their approval. And the goal, it seems, is to get it to the president's desk for a signature by July 4th.
July 4th deadline. Okay, so wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you, the listener? I mean, this deep dive really shows that this major economic and immigration package, kind of a Trump flagship, is moving really fast.
It really is.
Marked by these super tight votes, promising significant tax cuts for some people, but also, as we've discussed, major cuts to social safety nets, and a projected hike in the national debt.
Exactly. So as we head into the beginning of next week, definitely keep an eye on those Senate debates, the amendment process, and of course the final votes. This bill, if it passes, really could reshape huge parts of the American economic and social landscape very, very quickly.
Right. So here's a final thought for you to mull over. With such a massive, comprehensive bill moving through Congress at this kind of speed, what might be some of the longer-term, maybe the unforeseen consequences of such rapid policy shifts across different parts of our economy and society?